Hey, this is Bill from Calderwood Percussion with another weekly shop update. This time the Handel and Haydn edition. So, for those of you that don't know, the Handel and Haydn Society is a period instrument orchestra and chorus in Boston, Massachusetts. It was founded in 1815, which makes it the third oldest musical organization in the country, and it is the oldest continuously performing musical ensemble in the country. Obviously they perform works by the composers Handel and Haydn and their contemporaries. So for this upcoming concert cycle, on the program is Haydn's 100th Symphony, which is the military symphony, which calls for, the percussion section calls for instruments characteristic of Turkish Janissary bands of that time period. So they wanted a couple of things. They wanted this bass drum, something that was kind of around this size, rope tension, natural skin heads, and I was really excited to do this. I've been thinking about making something along these lines for a while. So this is 21.5 inches deep and 26 inches in diameter. It's made of maple with a relatively thin shell. It has natural calfskin heads. The ears are a new design for me. It's they're based on just the regular Swiss ear, but a little bit larger. And I used these copper rivets that I hammered over just because I thought it would sort of look cool for this piece. The leather it's just a black thin tough leather that was actually from the old shop couch that we used to have here at the shop. So before we got rid of it, we stripped off any materials that were there's some oak in the frame. There was some really nice pieces of wood that we kept, and kept all the leather that was upholstered in the couch, and a few other, there's some other materials we were able to take from it. Anyway, and the rope is, I'm not sure if this is Hempex or if it's Posh. Either way, it's a New England Ropes product that is still polyester like the other kinds of rope we use, but it has the appearance and hand feel of hemp. So it's a very, very period-inspired instrument with some concessions obviously made for the sake of modern playability, but I think it really fits into a period instrument ensemble really nicely. So I'm really happy with how this drum turned out. Super cool. Now the next thing that we have to do is a Turkish crescent. So although Haydn's Military Symphony does not specifically call for a Turkish crescent, it is not uncommon to have that be part of the performance, as there a very strong argument can be made that that's what he had in mind anyway when he wrote the piece, even though it's not specifically notated in the score that way. And if you've been following any of our videos, you probably saw when I took a trip to the Boston Museum of Fine Arts to check out the Turkish crescent they have there, which to me is a very, very iconic instrument. It's a very, very beautiful instrument. And the image of that Turkish crescent is used for a lot of promotional materials that the Boston Museum of Fine Arts puts out, and also it was part of the original collection that started the Boston MFA, however many years ago that was. There are kind of a lot of things there where Handel Haydn Society being this sort of like Boston institution since 1815, and the Boston Museum of Fine Arts and that particular Turkish crescent and that image being so iconic to the sort of like cultural center of the city, I felt like that was a really cool kind of pairing, and I want to do the best I can to even if it's not a direct reproduction, which for the sake of playability it pretty much can't be, but get as close to that iconic image and that iconic profile of the Turkish crescent at the MFA that I possibly can. So I'm really excited to finally have it came up in the schedule, and I'm very excited to finally be working on it. These are some of the things that I've collected, some of the materials, and it's kind of weird stuff, so I thought maybe I'd tell you about some of it. First of all, this bell is going to be a significant part of the crescent. This is a 9.5 inch trombone bell off a Conn Director. I think I'm probably going to keep the engraving on the bell because I kind of think that's cool. I don't know, but yeah. So this is probably gonna be kind of the top bell shape is gonna start with this bell flare. Thank you to Osmond Music in Acton, which for those who don't know is a little bit west of Boston, for helped me out in acquiring this. Other than that, there's a few other things. So I have this very strange E-flat sousaphone. I got this as a box of parts on eBay, like when I was in high school and learning how to fix instruments. And I had this idea that I was gonna cut the valves apart and use one of the valves to add a fourth valve to this E-flat tuba I had at the time. I started working on the project, realized I was in over my head, and thankfully I stopped before I did too much damage. That E-flat tuba that I was going to modify, I still have that horn. I love that horn. I'm glad that I didn't cut it up. The valve set to the sousaphone, though, I did cut up. In retrospect, I kind of regret doing that because this is such a weird instrument. It's just marked Carlin Music Company in Indianapolis, so obviously it's a stencil horn. I assume it was made in Europe. Yeah, it's the way it's wrapped. It's such a bizarre sousaphone. I wish that I had not cut up the valves and had reassembled it instead. That said, I know that if I had done that, it would have wound up being a cool oddity, but largely unplayable because the valves were so trashed when I got them anyway. So anyway, that's the story of this bizarre E-flat sousaphone. So I'm going to take this apart. Going to take off the bell flare. Some of this is going to be I think some of this is going to be used to extend this bell out to the diameter we need. I think part of this bell is going to wind up being part of the crescent shape of the instrument. We might end up using some of the body for that as well. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, this is going to get all cut up, and although I am sad that it is never going to get reassembled into the weird E-flat sousaphone that it used to be, I'm happy that it's going to take on a new life as an instrument that's going to be played and played in such an amazing world-class ensemble is really cool. So there's that. These are wall decorations, this weird valveless euphonium thing, and this trombone-shaped object. I think my mom found these at they're like Pier 1 or something as wall decorations. This is completely unplayable. And that weird euphonium bugle thing is playable, but without any valves. It's a weird thing. So these they're made in India, yeah, they're decorations. They're not really instruments. So this might become part of it as well. I have this old trumpet, this Carl Fisher, marked Carl Fisher, Boston, although it was probably made in Indiana. I don't actually know where Carl Fisher was. Does anybody know? You can comment and tell me. Anyway, this old trumpet I've had forever. It's missing a valve. I don't even remember where it came from. But I have this. Some parts are probably going to go. An oak and pine dowel. These might wind up being the shaft that is the bottom of the instrument. A bunch of random valves and valve casings and tubings. Some random cabinet fixture type pieces. There's all kinds of weird brass things. And then I got a bunch of small bells. Some of these that Mark Karen sent me, they were left over from his own Turkish Crescent project, so thanks, Mark, for that. I still need to pick up some more sleigh bells and a few other things, but I think I actually have most of the brass here that I need to get this job done. So I'm really excited to get started on this, and I'm gonna film this as much as I can so that you guys can see the process. Hopefully it'll be interesting. Yeah, it's time to dive in, man. I don't really know how this is gonna go, but it's gonna be fun. So here we go.